Namo Bhagavate Krishnanandaji. Om Namo Narayana. Om Namo Shivaya. Om Mangalam Omkar Mangalam Guru Mangalam Guru Pad Mangalam.
Om Mangalam Omkar Mangalam Guru Mangalam Guru Pad Mangalam.
Om Mangalam Omkar Mangalam Guru Mangalam Guru Pad Mangalam.
Om Mangalam Omkar Mangalam Guru Mangalam Guru Pad Mangalam.
Salutations and prostrations at the lotus feet and in subtle presence of Gurudev Sri Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj. Salutations and prostrations at the lotus feet of Sri Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj. Maharaj was kind enough to let this opportunity of small sharing be given to me. So, when I was just visiting the Tapasya boutique yesterday, I just came across one magazine which was given to me for reading, and therein I found one very good article on Adi Sankara by His Holiness Sri Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj. So today's little sharing I want to devote wholeheartedly at the lotus feet of this, and from the year 1960 till 2001, nearly the time when he left his physical frame, he served as General Secretary of this particular Shivananda Ashram. And it is said that even though he had these very important secretarial duties which will require continuous presence of mind activities, his spiritual radiance or availability to the seekers of truth was not affected a wee bit, and constantly he can alternate between the administrative functions and the spiritual message dissemination. Sri Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj used to call him as a pure crystal. And we know that whenever you put any object in front of the crystal, that object gets reflected. So here it is said that he lived constantly attuned to the Brahman or the self, and all his life, all his thoughts were full of revelations of Parabrahman, Supreme Reality, or the Ishvara. Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj also has showered very high praise on His Holiness. He was called Vedanta Kesari, and Swamiji once wrote, "He is a wonder to me," like that he said. And he said that so many kings and masters will bow down at his feet, and it is very sacred to take the dust of his feet and put on the forehead with reverence and devotion. These are the words of none other than His Holiness Sri Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj. That was a spiritual genius. And he also said that I do not know how many Shankaracharyas have been rolled into this young sannyasi. At that time, Swami was quite young, and he said he is a great jnani, he is a great tapasvi, and I don't want to speak much in his presence. Like that, Swamiji said. So, when Adi Shankara is the Guru of Gurus, we call Sadasiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyama. Why would Gurudev have called like this? You know, many Shankaracharyas have been rolled into being sannyasis. That is because the truth which was expounded by Adi Shankaracharya has been presented to us in so many novel ways, so many innovative ways by Sri Krishnanandaji Maharaj, and that is why this very high decoration was given by Gurudev. Now, in his case, we pick up the dust from his feet. So, in that sense, let us take some little message of his teachings and we try to ponder on that. There are many books of Krishnanandaji Maharaj which are worth pondering, and many of you might have read also. One of them is a short history of religious and philosophic thoughts in India. So all the great scriptures, everything is described in a nutshell. And another very good book is worth reading by all of us, and that is Spiritual Import of Religious Festivals. So there are so many different religious festivals to observe. And what is the spiritual import? Dharmik Utsav ka Adhyatmik Abhipraya. That is the book. And if we read that particular book, the introduction part, that itself is so enchanting. I suggest if you have not read, please do it. All different scriptures, what do they speak about Supreme Reality? Right from Veda, different Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Purushottam, Narayana Sutta, Hiranyagarbha Sutta, all different scriptures, what do they say about Supreme Reality? Just beautifully described there. And in that particular book, one of the chapters is Sankara, the genius. Now, Swamiji has nicely explained that Sankara was an incarnation, Ansha or Anshansh Avatar as they call, of Ishvara. We have got Purnavatar also and we have got Ansha Avatar also. So, Adi Shankara was considered as Ansha Avatar, and Swamiji mentions that his particular advent on this earth and the life and mission of Adi Shankara has a great significance from the chronological, that is historical, as well as logical standpoints. So both the ways his dawn on the earth has got significance. Now, first let us try to see what is the significance in terms of chronological order and how that Shankara's arrival made a lot of significance at that point of time. The oldest scripture or the literature that we have of the human history is Vedas. Beyond that, what existed, we do not know. So Veda is the oldest history that we have for the mankind. And in that Purushottam Veda also, it is mentioned, Ekam Sat Vipra Bhuta Vadanti. So there is a one truth or one being, and the wise men speak of them differently. What does it mean? Now here, I wonder how slowly Sankara takes us to the final goal of life, what Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj has always talked to us in terms of God realization or self-realization. These words never existed before. These have come much later in the cultural history of Bharatvarsha. So in the earlier Vedic times, what happened was, the rishis of the yore, they very deeply they were contemplating, and in the deepest moments of their meditation, intuition, the truth was revealed to them. And that is how the Vedas have come. So Vedas are apovish. They are not the creation of any particular saint or any particular sage. This was the truth as it was revealed to these rishis in the deep contemplation, in the deep meditation. And that is called intuition. That is what Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj calls a priori. There are two paths to supreme reality. One is priori and one is posteriori. So priori is directly from the revelation of the self. And posteriori, through arts, to science, to literature, you study, and eventually, at the root cause of that, will lead to supreme reality. So these rishis of the yore had priori part, and they could perceive the supreme reality. And how? They took it as a creator. They took it as a creator. So whole creation was there, and there has to be some creator. And that creator has to be intelligent. He has to have the knowledge. He has to have the ability to put up the creation. So they call Palankaran and Nimittakaran. So that is material cause and the instrumental cause. Then only the creation will come. It is so orderly that unless and until there is some divine element behind that, it cannot happen. Every atom in the universe, every cell in the living being is functioning in an orderly manner. How can it happen without that? So that is how, they thought there is a creator and one creator. One creator was there and the creation is there. So they worship the creator as one truth. Ekam Sat Vipra Bodha Vedanti. But let us understand that God is there beyond creation also. It is not just when a Srishti is created, God is there. Even when the world was not created, the world was not existing. Creation was at that time also Lord was there. That is what the Upanishad says. And that is called Satchidananda. And in relation to the creation, we call creator, preserver, and the transformer or the destroyer. And that is how when we say in a universal prayer, Thou art Satchidananda. That Satchidananda is Swarup Lakshana. At all points of time it will be there. And when you say omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, when you Sarvavyapak, Sarvagya, Sarvasaktiman, they are called Tatsarakshana in relation to creation. Without creation, omnipresence, omnipotent, omniscience has no significance. But in earlier times, they thought there's a creator, and that creator has done this, so that was called revered as Ekam Sat. And Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. So how they were doing in multiple ways? The rising sun, the setting sun, the rising ocean, the mountain range. These were the divine manifestations. Within they saw that there is supreme reality which is responsible, which is creating, which is guiding this whole creation. That is how they were living. That's a fine thing. Then what happened was, slowly over a period of time, then they say Ekam Sat Vipra Bodha Vadanti, and then the various deities are there. We know that Channa Mitra, Sampurna, Channa Bhaktariyama, like that we say different deities' names are there. But different deities they are worshipping, and they were the representative of that creator that was like that. Then what happened? This was fine. Through different deities, we are looking at one supreme reality. No problem in that. But later on, what happened? That this tendency of just revering different deities as a representative of supreme reality got changed. And these deities themselves were considered fine. So that was a polytheism kind of a thing, that you worship more than one god, that kind of thing happened, And all the different deities are worshipped as if they are independent authorities, independent powers like that. And what happened was that eventually they were to please all the deities. And gradually, not only reverence, but fear also came in their mind. That they thought if we don't revere this, if we don't do this, something wrong will happen to me. So like that, reverence and fear both came to them. And just to counter that fear, they wanted to offer various oblations, various objects. They want to please any human individual. They wanted to please the different gods. And how do you do that? Because they are not accessible to you. They are not in our realm. So the yagna came, the traditional yagna what we have, right? And then we have the Agni there. So that Agni or the fire is considered to be the carrier. And that is how any yagna is performed. First and foremost, we worship that Agni, Agnisthapan. And then we request, treat that Agni, that you take it to Ariyama, take it to Varuna, take it to Brahaspati, like that. And that is how these oblations are offered. And gradually what happened, initially only few good articles are offered in oblation. Look at the clarified butter, they call ghee, some good wooden pieces like that. But later on, all sorts of unwanted things also were offered to this yagna, or this Agni. And there was a deterioration. There was a degradation of that state. Let us assume that there is a triangle. At the the top of the triangle, apex point, the earlier situation was there, where the Ekam Sat Vipra Bhuda Vadanti, you have only one God, you are worshipping them. Then this degeneration took place, all sorts of unwanted things, including sacrifice of the animals and sacrifice of the human being, were also done. And that was not only untruth, deviation from the truth, but it was greatly detrimental for the mankind. Very harmful, very undesirable thing. So from the apex point, we just came down. So just you have a triangle from the base, you have one point where the whole thing was degraded. And at that time, there was an advent of Bhagavan Buddha, as we call, and he just came, and he just, but he had a different approach altogether. And in the words of Adi Sankara and Krishnanandaji Maharaj, it was another wrong extreme. So, vice or virtue, when practiced in extreme, it goes the other way around. So in this case, he always said that there is no God. He completely denied the existence of God. He said all the world is psychological. It's all a creation of mind. There is no God, nothing like that. So that was a complete antithesis of the other situation. And supposing you were a triangle, and it came down here, and then went to other extreme, other point of the base. That was a time when somebody had to come and put the thing in right perspective. At the apex point where was the right worship, one and only God. And that is the advent of Adi Shankara. And he corrected that, and he also said that it is not that everything what Bhagavan Buddha did was wrong. Many things which he said, he also explained, was good. For example, he said nihilism. So nothing exists. So that is not truth. But what is truth is that whatever appears to exist is not the truth. That's the whole thing, Whatever appears to appears, that is not the actual reality. And again, when he said that it is the mind which creates the world like that, So in that case also it is not true, but our thought processes can definitely influence the existence of the world. So there was some truth about that, and also ethical idealism was there, but that was devoid of God. That doesn't help. So again, Adi Shankara had to come to take to the point, top position of a triangle. So this is known as a historical or chronological significance why Adi Shankara's advent was very important. And then comes another very interesting part, which is a logical need. So there was a historical need, there was a logical need. And our Swamiji explains how logical, because there are different systems of thought in our Sanatana Dharma. As you know, there are 6 Astik Darshan and 6 Nastik Darshan. And Nastik is not the one who does not believe in God. Nastik is the one who doesn't believe in Vedas. That is called as the Nastik Darshan. So in the Astik Darshana, I am not really an expert subject of philosophy, but just because I read it and I thought it's a good point to use. That's how I'm just trying to discuss this. So I may have my limitations, but this is how I grasp Swamiji's message. And the first thing was that Nyaya and Vaisheshika systems of thoughts were there. We don't want to go into the details, but thing was they accepted reality on the face of it. What appears to the senses and what is sensible is true. So there was a plurality of existence. So not one, but realities are plural. That was the kind of a hypothesis they had. And does God exist for them? This Nyaya Vaisheshika, then yes, they accepted the God. But they say that God is beyond this cosmos and supra-cosmic reality. It is not directly connected with this. Whereas our Vedanta will not say this. We say that this whole material world, this material causes God. So everything that Sarvadhyapaki Ishvara is there. So in some other religions also like that. God is extra cosmic reality. And how do you go? How do you approach that? There is no ladder to go. So this will not work. This did not explain. So this Nyaya and Vaisheshika system did not work. And then came the Sankhya Darshan of Kapil Muni. And that Sankhya Darshan is good in so many ways. And Krishnanandaji Maharaj says that Sankhya Darshan is the seed for Vedanta. And it matures into Vedanta philosophy finally. And Sankhya does not accept multiple reality. All Panch Mahabhutas are separate for Nyaya and Vaisheshika. And for Sankhya they say no, there are no 5 Mahabhutas. Only 2 things exist. One is Purusha and one is Prakriti. One is consciousness, one is matter. One is seer and seen, experiencer and the experience. So a great deal of work was done by the Sankhya Darshana, and as he says, it ultimately matured into Vedanta. But the biggest problem for the Sankhya was it does not explain the God. It doesn't explain the existence of God. How? Because it accepts the principle of law of karma. Karma Siddhanta is accepted by the, that any good work is rewarded, bad work is punished, accepted. Then who does it? Only Prakriti and Purusha will not solve this particular mystery. So from Sankhya evolved the yoga system of Maharshi Patanjali. And Swamiji mentions that Patanjali Maharaj did not initiate, but he systematized the whole system of yoga. And here for the first time, the Ishvara comes. The Jeev, Jagat and Jagdish. Prakriti, Purusha and Ishvara. These three entities are there. But I never knew before I read this, Here Swamiji writes that this Ishvara is not considered as the goal of life. What we normally understand that goal of life is God realization. Goal of life is self-realization. That is a very, very vibrant teaching of our Gurudeva in every book, everywhere it is. But as for what Swamiji writes and what I understand here, is that Ishvara is not the goal of life, but that Ishvara of the Yoga Darshan of Patanjali Mahamuni is only a dispenser of the justice. So it dispenses the justice, just like a judge of the Supreme Court we have in India. As if that whatever good or bad that we do, only the fruits of that they are dispensed by that. So it has got no other connection beyond that, Once the fruits are given, then the whole matter ends. So that kind of relationship with God is not very satisfactory. And then they say that Purusha or the consciousness, when it rests in itself, that is the liberation. That is the goal. God realization, self-realization will not come till this systems of thought. And that Ishvara is only dispenser of this. So this did not work. And that is the place, that is the stage where Adi Shankara's dawn is there. And then the whole truth about Jeev, Jagat and Jagdish, what we understand as this triune, what appears as three existences is actually one in essence. They are not many, but they are viewed as these three. And that is how this is a very, very detailed subject and very difficult even to say right now what Adi Shankara wanted to say, but in a very simple way if you want to understand. As he said, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo, Brahmaiva, Na Para. So what he meant was Brahma Satyam, the supreme reality. Trikala Vitishtati, at all time it exists. It never exists, it never ceases to be. That is Brahma. That is Satya. Jagan Mithya. So whatever created world which we see in front of us is Mithya. In Mithya there is no proper English word. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It only means it has got a dependent existence. It depends on Ishvara or Brahman for its existence. And it exists only for a particular period of time. And it has got a temporal reality. And that is called Vyavaharik Satta. That is Jagat. And what is Jagat? All Pancha Mahabhutatmak world which we see. And in our individual level, our body, our mind, our prana, our intellect, everything is a part of that Jagat. So all this Jagat is Mithya. It exists for some time, then ceases to be. And Jiva is not the effect or the Karya of Brahman, but it is Brahman itself. That very Brahman in this individual frame exists as Jiva. And only because that Atman identifies with his body, mind, intellect, apparatus, it becomes Jiva. Otherwise, in essence, it is not different from Brahman. So this was the core teaching of Adi Shankara, that this Jagata is not different from Brahman. Because from the Brahman only has come, just as the clay is there, they make a pot out of it. So likewise with the Brahman, this world has come. Satchitananda is there in the Jagat also. And this Jiva, what we call, is nothing but Brahman itself. So the Jagat is not different from Jiva also. This was a unique kind of a teaching which Adi Shankara gave. So both from the point of view of history as well as from the point of view of Darshana, Adi Shankara's advent was very, very significant. And what was great about him? The great about him was that there are two important aids to his work. One thing was the scripture, Shastra. Today what happens is we read many people, we do many things, but we don't take recourse to Shastra, the scriptures. That's the ultimate authority. So he kept the scriptures in one hand and the logic, the profound logic on the other hand. And with that he approached. So I think there are two parallel ways, that one is logic and one is scriptures. And he said, third thing is Swanubhava, experience. All these three run parallel beams. Or we may say that logic is there, scripture is there, two beams and they ultimately merge into experience, Swanubhuti. So that is how the whole thing is there. And here again, Swami Maharaj explains, that it is so difficult to think, that it is very difficult to grasp this concept of Vedanta. And just the way Jesus was criticized, just the way Buddha was criticized, Adi Shankara's philosophy also did not percolate rightly, and it was also subjected to criticism by many. And to counter that, different acharyas came. Ramanujacharya, Shishadvait, Madhvacharya, Dvait, and then this Shuddha, that is by Vallabhacharya, Shuddha and some other things, there were different kind of versions were there. So they were all there to ultimately support that particular thesis of Adi Shankara. Now here again, Shankaracharya Maharaj says that Advaita Vedanta is such a vast and such a intricate subject that there is no single book which will elucidate us about the complete meaning of Vedanta. And he has quoted various books also, including Advaita Siddhi and many other books. And he says, even if you read all these books, it will not give the complete grasp. That is, in Upanishads also, they represent different perspectives of Brahman. One single book will not give that. So, grasping that supreme reality is very difficult because it is subtlest. And Vedanta is the pramana for that. So, you must understand, Vedanta is not just a darshan, but Vedanta is a pramana itself for revelation of that particular self. And because that supreme self is difficult to comprehend, Vedanta also is very diversified and very difficult to comprehend. And that is why this Krishnanandaji Maharaj here says that there is a need that all these different darshanas, and what Adi Shankara said, he did not want to negate everything. His goal was not defeating everything. His goal was that he should systematize, he should find a common playing effect, and ultimately create a system of philosophy or darshana which will help every human being lead a good life, lead a satisfactory life, lead a happy life. And he said there is a need for someone who can do that. All these different darshanas, they can be brought together, and the whole quintessence of that can be grasped, experienced for the supreme happiness. He has not said this in this particular book, but how I understand this, what Gurudev Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj has done by his tenets of divine life is an exercise in this direction. And when we read his books, and Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj is a great worshipper or adorer of Adi Shankaracharya. We find Adi Shankaracharya's teachings in all his writings, in all his works. Even if we read the commentary on Bhagavad Gita by Gurudev Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj, we will find that there is a considerable corroboration with Shankar Bhashya. And a lot of depth he has taken from Shankar Bhashya about this commentary also. So he had a very great reverence for the Adi Shankara, and all his teachings largely reflect Advaita Vedanta, but nevertheless, all the other aspects of Bhakti Acharya also, we call it Vishishta Advaita, Dvaitva, Shuddha Dvaitva, all those things in one way or the other, he has tried to incorporate in so-called divine life. The divine life is life in Atma, Atmic Jivan. And that is what Krishnanandaji Maharaj says here, that should be the goal, and that is what we should try to do. So, very difficult to grasp supreme reality in itself, very difficult to understand the relation between individual soul and supreme soul. Vedanta also is difficult to grasp. And likewise he says, Adi Shankara's work also is so elaborate that there is no single book which will tell what Adi Shankara really had to say about Advaita Vedanta. And so many books are there, and every book represents a different aspect. The subject is so broad, so wide, that no single book will tell that. And he was such a great person that all his work he has done not only in prose, but a great deal of poetry also. And if you read Adi Shankara's literature, there are two things. One is profundity of the subject matter, the depth of the subject, the philosophy. And at the same time, this beautiful flavor of the language. And only those who are good at Sanskrit, they will be able to make out the depth. In the depth of philosophy, we find a great deep of flavor of language, which pleases the mind, entices us, and we become more and more happy, enthused to it. So that was the beauty of his work. And likewise, Swami Shivanandi Maharaj also, his work is so elaborate, we know so many books are there, and it is no single book per se, will lead us to that particular whole grasp of the subject matter which he had to give us. The ultimate essence was this, how the supreme reality I comprehend, I intimately appreciate, and I ultimately become one with that. And in that process, Vedanta and Bhakti both are essential. So if we see Adi Shankara's life, he was a great Karma Yogi, he was a great Bhakta, he was a great Jnani. And same is equally true for our Swami Shivananda Maharaj. He was a great Karma Yogi, he was a great Bhakta, and a great Vedanta. So all his works, depending on our interest and our caliber, we should try to pursue with that bhava, devotion, and inquisitive mind. But Gurudev was so kind. He thought that if many people are unable to, for example, read everything and grasp, there has to be some concise, some quintessential way of doing it. Because Swamiji wanted that every individual should evolve, should realize, not a single person should be left away from the evolution. So all this message which he gave in a very elaborate way, finally he has put in a very concentrated way. And that is how, if we see that our 20 spiritual instructions, science of seven cultures, and universal prayer, they are not as simple as they appear to be. If we read it minutely, we can find a lot of philosophical depth in that. Because when he says equal vision and balanced mind, it goes very simple. But when we have the equal vision, we don't see non-duality, then only that samadharshita or oneness of the self can be experienced. Like that, there is a great deal of depth which you can read these three things, and that ultimately the goal that Shankaracharya Maharaj said, Swami Shivanandi Maharaj said, what we call as Brahman, self, or Ishvara, whatever, that ultimately we have to take. And apart from this also, just to add a few lines, that in this book on sadhana is also given another very quintessential message. Because not many will be able to go through the depth of his works also. So he said there are all different types of sadhana which we do, which is intended to make our antakarana full of sattva, free from impurities and concentrated. The three things are important. The first thing he said is cultivation of virtues and eradication of vices. So this is something very essential, and all the virtues, all the vices are not mutually exclusive. They are interdependent. So when you cultivate one virtue, other virtues will come by itself. If you have got one vice, we can develop that counter pratipaksha bhavana, and we can cultivate that virtue. So once we do that, our antakarana becomes shuddha. It becomes sabila, ready for higher sadhana. And second thing he said is constant remembrance of Lord. So that is the essence of his teachings. And Swami Krishnanandaji Maharaj also has said in a number of articles in this particular book, that how constant remembrance of Lord can be there. And Shanti Ashram Swamiji, he said very meaningfully, he said, Omkar Swamiji, that one who is real Bhakta will not be diverse from his Ishvara even for 1 billionth of a second. Understand, billion is 10 raised to 9, so 1,000 part of a million. So even for that small time, he will not be diverse. Various ways they can find out how do we do that. So constant remembrance of Lord, that's the second thing, and spiritualization of all activities. So we have an external life, we have the internal life also. Adhyatmic even tantric even, but also it has got some element to do with the world life. So we should always, whatever we try to do, we should always try to attune, identify, connect it with Ishvara in one way or the other. We can have our innovative ways, our innovative formula. It doesn't happen only in one way. We can create our own subjective formula. That is what Siddhanta Maharaj used to say. And doing that, attaining closeness, savityam, and then oneness with the supreme reality, where alone we get supreme peace. Krishnanandaji Maharaj used to say that this river of life flows. It ultimately meets in the ocean of perfection, ocean of Satchidananda, and from going there, reaching there, there is no coming back. Before that, there are so many predispositions that we can fall back. But having attained the Dham Paramam, then there is no going back. That is the supreme goal of life. By various names, sages call, and we also have the intellectual understanding of that. What is required is earnest sadhana, innermost peace, and God's and Guru's grace for fulfillment of that. So this Adi Shankara's teachings, as explained by Swamiji and as understood by me, in humble way I have tried to share with you. Once again, I heartily express my gratefulness to Swamiji Maharaj for giving his turn to this small seva, and pray to God and Gurudev. And may this Advaita Vedanta, oneness of self, oneness of consciousness teaching become an integral, vibrant, dynamic part of our life. Hari Om.
Universal peace and welfare of all beings. Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Brahmatitam Gaganasadrusam Tattvamasyadiraksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatītam Triguranayitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Nitya Suddham Niravasam Nirakaram Niranjanam Nityabodham Chidanandam Gurum Brahma Namamyam Dine Sarva Vidyanam Vishade Navarogena Gurave Sarva Lokanam Sri Dakshinamurtaye Namah Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Vishnavanchaya Santaya Niranamaya Tejasi Saravana Bhava Saravana Bhava Saravana